Happy St. Patrick's Day. We miss you so much at kindergarten, and I am so excited to read to you today. We are going to read Leprechaun on the Loose, written by Marcia Thornton Jones and illustrated by Sid Moore. A leprechaun was loose in the classroom, and Sydney was the only one who knew it. Sydney saw teeny tiny green footprints on the floor. He followed them to the table where Mrs. Yoder had cupcakes for their St. Patrick's Day party. Sydney peeked inside the box. All the green icing had been licked off the cupcakes. Do you like icing? I do. Sydney set out to find that leprechaun. It was plain bad luck when he stepped on his own shoelace. Oof, whoosh, splat! Sydney fell right on the table. Sydney ruined our party snack, Della Puddington told everyone when Mrs. Yoder threw away the squished box. I didn't do it, Sydney said. It was the leprechaun. An itty-bitty hee came from behind the fish tank, but Sydney was the only one who heard it. Oh my gosh. Look at that. He tripped, and then Sydney is hearing the leprechaun. During reading time, Sydney noticed something was wrong with the fish. He sneaked into the back of the room and looked into the tank. The leprechaun was swimming the backstroke, and the fish definitely were not happy. Oh my gosh, look at the leprechaun. He's swimming in the fish tank. Sydney dove after the leprechaun. Plop, kerplunk, sploosh. Water soaked the table. Sydney ruined our decorations, Della cried when Mrs. Yoder threw away the soggy paper shamrocks. I didn't do it, Sydney said. It was the leprechaun. Sydney was sure he heard a tiny little ha-ha-ha as he mopped up the mess. Oh my goodness, that classroom. Leprechaun, man. He's out to get him. During science class, Sydney heard a coming from the hamster's cage. Sydney tiptoed to the cage. He carefully opened the door and came face to face with the leprechaun. While Sydney and the leprechaun stared at each other, the hamster ran out the open door and across the table. Sydney dived after the hamster. Boom, bam, crash! Sydney fell against the table. Juice went everywhere just as the hamster scurried out of sight. I'm so glad this is not my classroom. Our juice is gone, Della said with a sniffle. So are the decorations and all of our cupcakes. Sydney ruined our St. Patrick's Day party. Sydney was sure he heard a faint tee from behind the stack of reading books. Nobody believed that Sydney did not do it. There was only one thing for him to do. He had to catch the leprechaun. At recess, Sydney sneaked past his teacher and ran to the art corner. Everything he needed was there. What's he going to do? Sydney pounded and snapped and glued. Perfect, he said when he finished his leprechaun trap. Then he hurried into the lunchroom and looked through the lunch trays until he found a stinky tidbit of corned beef. Oh, do you smell that? Corned beef. Sydney carefully reached inside his leprechaun trap with the bait. Just then, his foot knocked into the back of the trap. Swish, cling, zing! Sydney was caught inside of his trap. He heard the tippity-tap-tippy of itty-bitty boots. I do believe I've caught a boy that I have, said the leprechaun with a grin. Let me out, Sydney begged. The tiny man scratched under his tall green hat. Now, why should I be wanting to do a thing such as that? So now Sydney's trapped and the leprechaun is in charge of letting him out. Oh no. Sydney thought fast. Come closer and I'll tell you a secret, he said. A secret? I love secrets, said the leprechaun as he inched forward. That's when Sydney made his move. He reached out and tickled the leprechaun right under the chin. Ha ha ha, hee hee hee, ho ho ho. The leprechaun fell down and hit the trap door. The door flew open. Sydney rolled out and pushed the leprechaun inside. Swish, clang, zing! I've got you, Sydney yelled. Now I can prove that you ruined the party and not me. Party, said the little man. I'll make you a deal. Let me go and I'll save the party. Then I'll be gone and you'll never ever see me again. How can a leprechaun save our party? Sydney asked. With me? Treasure, of course. Should he keep the leprechaun and prove that he didn't ruin everything? Sydney wondered. Or should he let the leprechaun go home and save the party for all of his friends? Now, friends, you are going to write in your journal or on a piece of paper, what would you do if you were Sydney? Would you keep the leprechaun and prove that you weren't the one who ruined the party? Or would you let the leprechaun go home and save the party for all of your friends?